Some types of shows just have a vibe, for lack of a better word. CW shows have a vibe. Canadian cartoons have a vibe. And oh boy, do these shows certainly have a vibe. Hello and welcome everyone, I am the Lilly that dilly-dallies, and today on Lilly Dally, we're going to be talking about Australian sci-fi kids shows. Buckle in. Australian television, hell, Australian media in general, has almost always been very insular, rarely escaping the confines of this continent and making it to other countries. But that's not to say it hasn't happened. Neighbours was famously more popular in the UK than it was in its home country. H2O exposed many American teens to the best of our accents. And then there's the overwhelming international success of Bluey, and hell, even the amazing Digital Circus is an Australian production. But otherwise, there's a whole treasure trove of television we've been sitting on that barely anyone outside of this tiny island, that's also the 6th biggest country in the world, but shh, has seen. From the early 90s into the late 2000s, our airwaves were swarmed with various science fiction shows aimed at kids and teens. And today I'm going to highlight just a few of those shows from the 2000s, starting with Parallax. Parallax originally aired in the spring of 2004 on Channel 9, but in subsequent years was re-aired on ABC3. Good night, my sweet prince. Taking place in the fictional town of Werribee in Western Australia, they had to make one up because nothing ever happens in the real Western Australia, the series focuses on a boy named Ben, who, after chasing down the thief who stole his shoes, comes across a portal to a parallel universe. Which is probably the most exciting thing to happen to someone from Western Australia since the giant lobster. It turns out the thief is his best friend Francis, but from another world, and that his mum is an interdimensional guardian as he sees her absolutely obliterating these Spy Kids free-looking guys. Headshot, double kill, mega kill, ultra kill. There's a lot that Ben's mum Veronica is keeping from him, including a secret sister who lives in this parallel world, who Ben meets via accidental home invasion, the best kind of home invasion, and that there are a lot of these parallel universes, which make up the titular Parallax. There's the red world, which is the show's main world, the blue world where we meet Ben's sister Catherine, which I assume is the real world as we see a cop harassing a child for merely existing.
Well, can't we just hang him?
Jesus fucking Christ. Then there's the hippie world, because jokes about 1960s counterculture are all the rage with 10-year-olds in 2004.
Bad move, man. Everyone in my world feels free to share everything.
Listen to yourself, Mr. Redistribution of Wealth.
God bless you, comrade. There's the techno world where everyone just has the most atrocious fits. And even worse, they throw out a perfectly cromulent CRT. Where's the outrage? Then there's the forest world, which appears to be just a bunch of bridges. So let's talk a little bit about Ben. He sucks and nobody likes him. His whole thing is that he's bored of his small town life and has a desire for adventure. To go on a quest, as he puts it. And good lord is he extremely annoying about it. For a chunk of the show, he's always complaining and acts like he's the most important person in the world who can do no wrong. Veronica tries to teach him a lesson about making smart decisions by sending him to the desert and making him eat bugs, which is just incredible parenting, keeping this in mind for the kids I'll never have because I'm the end of my bloodline. Family drama is the very core of this show. Strip out the multiverse and you have every other Australian soap opera. Ben's mother Veronica was married to this guy, Stefan, and had Catherine in the blue world, but had to leave and take refuge in another world, starting a new family due to her guardian blood drawing in the Welkin, the Shark Boy and Lava Girl looking things, alongside a more sinister figure. As you can imagine, her relationship with both Ben and Catherine is very fraught. As much as she protects them, she ends up hurting them, even if she has no intention of doing so. Ben and Catherine's relationship is shaky from the start. Constant arguing and butting heads as a result of their opposing ideologies. Can't say it's very pleasant to watch, but it makes sense in the narrative, I suppose. Ben is constantly a condescending little shit to Catherine, which like, yeah, I get that it's sibling rivalry, but have you considered maybe doing the slightest bit of communication so you can get stuff done? Catherine isn't nearly as irritating as her brother, but is still, well, irritating. Her upbringing in the if you walk on the wrong side of the footpath you get the firing squad world makes her a bit of a stickler for the rules, with her best friend Melinda, not to be confused with this Melinda, often being the butt of this. Poor girl just wants to experience joy and whimsy for once. Oh yeah, so basically every main character has a version of themselves in every other parallel universe, which can get very confusing sometimes. Especially Francis. There's a lot of Francis. Francises? Franci? The two Franci the series focuses on are mostly distinguished by how soggy one is. Hippie Francis gets Techno Francis killed, and then there's Forest Francis with just a god-awful mullet. If I have to hear the name Francis one more time, I'm really gonna do it. The main villain turns out to be Veronica's twin sister named Betty. Betty and Veronica. Oh my god, this fucking show. Who was the main reason Veronica had to move to the Red World because Betty wants to destroy the Guardians.
So we blandish the world. We weed out the aberrants, leaving only the healthy individuals.
Oh, and she wants to do a eugenics, that's fun. One thing that never fails to amuse me are these Brady Bunch-ass squares the characters appear in sometimes. It's such a goofy editing choice and it makes me giggle like a fucking idiot. And every time we switch universes, they let Andre 3000 into the studio. The show is certainly weird as all hell, but I think there are parts to enjoy. Wooden child acting and whatever the hell these things are aside. It takes until about the halfway point to get into the more gripping parts of the story, such as Betty kidnapping Veronica, which isn't ideal, but if you gave this show a bit of a trim up, you'd get a fairly solid family sci-fi drama. Up next is Cybergirl, which I would love to have on DVD, but... yeah. So if you want to support me in buying ludicrously expensive DVDs, you can support me at this link here. Airing from 2001 to 2002, Cybergirl is about a cybernetic human replicant from space of the same name, who after crash landing on Earth is taken in by father and son Hugh and Jackson Campbell, and takes on the persona of teenage girl Ashley Campbell, in an attempt to escape from two other replicants trying to bring her back to her planet and imprison her for the crime of having feelings. As you may have noticed, Cybergirl is blue. Her hair, her clothes, her eyebrows, her soul... I assume because whatever species made these replicants saw the video of the goths raving under a bridge and said, yes, this is what humans look like, this is the peak of humanity. And honestly, they were right. Speaking of goth raves, can you tell what movie came out 2 years before this show aired? It's very funny to me just how much this show is inspired by The Matrix. You got leather, hacking, white people with dreadlocks, people doing flips and shit, and you have the most kick-ass early 2000s EDM soundtrack. It often accompanies the two evil replicants, Xander and Isaac, and it just makes them seem so much more badass. I love these two. While Xander takes on the role of the commandeering villainess, Isaac is just Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's great. Though I do have to dock some points for the assault of a retail worker. That's just too far for me. Cybergirl is very much your typical fish out of water story, as we see her take on a more human persona and adjust to life on Earth, enrolling in high school and learning about friendship, family, bullying, and maybe even romance? I mean, come on, the relationship between Cybergirl and Cat feels so very, very gay.
You're stringing me along. I can't be bothered listening anymore. Then just watch. This is my secret.
Speaking of queer-coded, we have to talk about Reese. Oh my god, I love Reese. He's our secondary villain and the CEO of Top Dog Interactive, a software company supplying the city's ATMs, the school's computers, and creating video games, which is terrifying to think about. Imagine if EA was your bank. Anyways, Reese is so goddamn camp, it's great. I know you're meant to hate CEOs, but come on.
You are sitting in the penthouse office of Top Dog Interactive, the greatest computing company this city has ever seen.
I'll have to fix this myself.
Get out!
Oh, Reese, how I love you in your burgundy suit.
While you were doing work experience here, I expect you to stick to the rules that hold for all my employees.
Show up early and work late.
Just like the real games industry. Back to Cybergirl herself, it's very, very easy to come to the conclusion that, whether intentional or not, she is autistic. The fact that she has to disguise herself to seem more normal and blend in, which parallels what's referred to as masking in discussions of autism, her struggles with social cues and norms, and the fact she's often told off for being herself, which is painfully relatable as an autistic person. I wanted a goofy TV show, not a mirror. Her character motivations are relatable, so I feel as frustrated as she does when Jackson tells her off and acts like she has to hide her true self when all she wants to do is help. It's incredibly cathartic when she lets her guard down and shows her true self to Kat, who accepts her and doesn't want her to lock herself away. It's nice that in times of need, Jackson does stick up for who is now essentially his adopted sister. The idea of writing a robot, cyborg, or alien as autistic or in a way that closely parallels autism is nothing new in the slightest. But it was a pleasant surprise seeing it in this show. Speaking of surprises, the Veronicas! No really, the Veronicas. There's a high chance that if you're aware of this show at all, it's because 4 years before dropping their debut album and 6 years before releasing the greatest song of all time, Don't At Me, they appeared on Cybergirl. They play twins Emerald and Sapphire Buxton, the daughters of the mayor of River City, which totally isn't Brisbane, not at all. Genuinely, why can't any of these shows use real place names? Was Parallax so scared of facing the wrath of Perth? And frankly, they're kind of creepy, pretty much saying and doing everything in sync.
You made your bed. Now, die in it.
Okay, that actually goes hard as fuck though. The last thing I want to touch on is just how bizarre the world in this show is. I get the impression this is meant to be regular ass Australia in 2001, but like, look at the money and its square, cyberpunky font. Is Top Dog Interactive such a huge company that they control what the currency looks like? Or is River City a weird isolated community with its own legal tender? Cybergirl's version of Earth feels so subtly dystopian it's wild to think about for any more than a couple of minutes. At least the iMac G3 still exists in this universe. Overall, Cybergirl is a whole lot of fun. It's so painfully 2001 that I can't help but love it. Frankly, I wish I had more time to talk about it. Maybe some other time. Our last stop for today is a show I was able to procure on DVD, Wicked Science, which has one of the greatest taglines I've ever seen. Adventure, danger, homework. This is such a great cover. Just look at everything coming out of the beaker. Symbols, Tony Hawk, a dinosaur, frog. And then when I open the case, I get reminded of what could have been. Thanks for rubbing it in my face, naughty maths. You might have noticed this little bit of text on the DVD here, but don't be fooled. This is not a movie. This is just a bunch of episodes smashed together, which was extremely common for these types of shows. Very few actually got full home media releases, Cybergirl being one of the lucky few that did, which I think is purely because of the popularity of the Veronicas in the mid-2000s. Parallax also only got the movie treatment for its DVD release, where it smushes together the first 8 episodes of the series, and as a result has some of the strangest pacing I've ever seen. And I wasn't even able to find a single listing on eBay. Even if I did, it probably would have cost my pancreas. A lot of these shows only survive through people having the foresight to record episodes off TV, or the creators themselves uploading them to the internet. Kind of strange how none of these production companies thought people would want to watch the full show in their own time. Now this show kind of peaks at the very start, so I'm just gonna run you through the first episode. The episode begins with the school term beginning and our main characters being introduced. This is Toby and Russ, and already we're seeing the Wicked in Wicked Science because we got skateboards. I honestly don't know why they didn't go any further. Why not radical science, tubular science, or if you're feeling sick and twisted, bodacious science?
That's pretty bodacious.
What isn't so bodacious is that voice.
Welcome to the new term.
Welcome to the new term. They turn around to discover there's a new girl in school and both immediately fall in love. I assume because her top reminds them of double mint gum. This is Dina, who's initially Toby's love interest, but they drop that pretty quickly, which is made further apparent as she doesn't even appear in season 2. In class we meet Elizabeth, your typical nerd, who has the hots for Toby and becomes jealous as Dina sits next to him, further worsened when Dina gives Toby her number. Is Phil Collins just off screen? What's with the jealousy drums? Toby and Russ have to stay behind after school for taking the blame for some snide comments from Dina, alongside Elizabeth, who has volunteered to identify some fossils using lasers. Russ lets a frog loose, oh my god, it's him, and decides the best way to clean the amphibian tank is by sticking a tube up his mouth, probably inhaling leeches of frog shit in the process. And as he runs off to blow chunks, the frog activates an electromagnetic pulse because those are all the rage these days, blasting Toby and Elizabeth. With no memory of what happened, Toby has a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, and discovers he has become hyper-intelligent.
Hi, Tobes. Like it? What is it? It's a double helix.
And really good at arts and crafts, apparently? At school, they find the blast has given Elizabeth eyeliner. Is that what I'm doing wrong? And that she's now both super smart and evil, which doesn't make any sense unless she was already evil before. In class, Dina expresses her love for the dodo. She's a big fan of internet service providers. So Toby gets the idea to utilize his newfound abilities to clone one, using a fossil and axolotl DNA?
Yes.
I couldn't agree more, Russ. Russ is sent to retrieve the fossil, not knowing Elizabeth has swapped it with another. And now for the best part of the episode. After realizing Elizabeth has done something to their experiment, Russ and Toby dash home to find, well, have a look for yourself. fucking masterful. Spielberg, get lost. Crichton, on your bike. Bluth, get yourself a nice meal, because this is the greatest fictional depiction of a dinosaur, right here. And do you want to know how they defeat it? How they save the day? Well, they fill up super soakers with axolotl urine to reverse the growth of the T-Rex, shrinking it down to nothing but a speck. They beat a dinosaur with piss. That's it. We can't get any better than this. This is perfection. I'm done. I quit. I quit. I think from a technical standpoint, Wicked Science is one of the higher quality shows from the lineup. But apart from this absurdist art piece, I couldn't think of a lot to say. There's a bit of a will they won't they thing going on between Toby and Elizabeth, which I imagine is ramped up in season 2 with Dina out of the picture, and also that season 1 ends with Elizabeth unleashing a dinosaur on the school and Toby defeating it with a giant doll. Why is my country like this? Anyways, I think that's all I have in me for now, but I would love to look at more of these shows in the future, so let me know if you want more of this. Leave a like if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to see more of this, and if you want to support me directly, here's my Ko-fi link. I've been Lilly, and you just heard me dilly-dally about Australian sci-fi kids shows. Until next time, folks.